15 years ago, my ex-husband cheated on me with his childhood friend and even had a child with her, which led to our divorce. Following the separation, his affair partner harassed me relentlessly, forcing me to quit my job. At my lowest point, my current husband stepped in and saved me. Together, we've built a happy family and live a peaceful life. But our bliss was disrupted unexpectedly when I ran into my ex-husband, the man who abandoned me all those years ago. Still single, aren't you? No one would marry a woman who can't have kids. You can't say anything but nasty comments, can you? Unlike someone, my son is adorable like his mother, he taunted, wearing a smug smile. I replied, oh really? He is quite cute. Let me introduce you to my kids. As I introduced my son, my ex-husband's smile vanished and he started to tremble. My name is Emily Johnson. I'm 38 years old and live with my 13-year-old son Kyle, my 11-year-old daughter Lily, and my husband Mike, who is the same age as me. Kyle, a middle school freshman, is currently going through his rebellious phase. He's been quite mouthy lately, but when he gets out of line, Mike steps in to set him straight. Lily loves makeup and fashion. She's quite the little fashionista. Being the youngest, she's very skilled at getting her way. Kyle, who adores his sister, quickly panics and apologizes whenever she says, if you're not nice to mom, I'll start disliking you. He hastily responds, sorry. Look, I'll get along with mom, okay? He's honest and always lightens the mood. Despite the noise, we live happily. Actually, I'm divorced and this is my second marriage. My first marriage ended because of my ex-husband's despicable betrayal. 15 years ago, John and I were in a senior-junior relationship in college, and we shared a wonderful connection, surrounded by mutual friends. Our relationship progressed smoothly, and we soon got married, both eager to start a family. We often talked about how delightful it would be to have children, even dreaming of dressing them in matching outfits. However, reality was not so kind, and a year went by without any sign of a child. Each month, when my period came, it added strain to our relationship, something neither of us welcomed. We had numerous discussions and underwent expensive fertility treatments. But despite being told there was nothing medically wrong, our marriage did not improve. At first, John was supportive and cooperative, but as time passed without a child, his attitude towards me began to change. He would make sarcastic remarks like, when will I ever become a father? As if it was entirely my fault that we didn't have kids. He gradually stopped helping with household chores, leaving all the cooking, dishwashing, laundry, and cleaning to me. When I asked him, why have you suddenly stopped helping with the chores? You used to help, he retorted. Since you're infertile, if you don't at least do the housework, you're not fulfilling your role as a woman. What's the point of our marriage then? His words became increasingly cutting over time. My sister and her husband are already expecting their second child. Isn't that great? They're on their second, and we don't even have our first, right? He would say, glaring at me with harsh eyes, mocking and despising me. If you had a normal body, I would have been a father long ago. How can you say I'm not normal when we don't even know the cause yet? I responded, trying to keep my composure. But John shot back, infertility is always the woman's fault. Don't you even know that? If I had known you were infertile, I would never have married you. Show some remorse. His words pierced my heart. Adding to my distress, I began receiving calls from my in-laws, pressuring me with comments like, we want to see our grandchild soon. Initially, I tried to brush it off, saying, it's only been a year. These things take time. However, that approach seemed to backfire as my mother-in-law's attitude became increasingly harsh. She'd remark, you're useless if you can't have children. My daughter had one right away. You're the only defective one. The pressure mounted every day. One day, my close friend Sarah invited me out for drinks. John had been claiming he was busy with work and coming home late, so I thought a break would do me good and accepted the invitation. During our outing, Sarah revealed a shocking truth. I've wanted to see you for a long time, Emily. There's something I need to tell you, she said, looking serious. I've missed you too. So, what did you want to talk about? I asked, curious and a bit anxious. Emily, do you remember Jessica? Jessica was John's childhood friend. They grew up next to each other and their parents were close. Jessica and I attended the same university, and now she works at my company as the president's daughter, securing her job through connections. We weren't particularly close in college, being in different clubs and departments, and our interactions at work were minimal. John once introduced her to me with the words, "She's my girlfriend, so be nice to her." But she glared at me, possibly not wanting to lose her childhood friend. I assumed she disliked me and kept my distance. Tall and beautiful, she was popular enough to compete in beauty pageants in college and was somewhat of a celebrity at the company, known as the president's beautiful daughter. Jessica. Oh, John's childhood friend. Yes, I know her. She's stunning. We work at the same company, but we don't interact much. What about her? I asked, trying to stay calm. Well, it's hard to say, but I think your husband John and Jessica are having an affair, Sarah said, her voice heavy with concern. What? I was stunned, as if struck by lightning. I saw them the other day. They were walking hand in hand, not like just friends. That can't be. You should check it out and call me if anything happens, okay? Thanks for telling me. I had a growing suspicion that John was cheating. His attitude towards me had been terrible, and he always came home late claiming to be working overtime. On weekends, he said he was entertaining clients and wouldn't be home. I had a vague idea but pretended not to notice. That day, after parting ways with Sarah, I went straight to a private investigator, determined to gather evidence of my husband's infidelity. It took less than a week to collect the proof, but I wasn't ready to decide on a divorce right away. No matter how terrible a husband he was the person I once vowed to spend my life with. I couldn't decide on such a drastic step immediately. A few days later, I returned home to find John, who usually came home late, sitting at the dining table. "Oh, you're home." "Yeah, I thought you'd be late today as usual," I said, deliberately adding a touch of sarcasm. "Yeah, sorry about that. I need to talk to you." After hearing about the affair from Sarah, I had a sinking feeling in my gut. I want a divorce. What? That's when it hit me. John wasn't just fooling around with Jessica, he was serious. Jessica's pregnant, so I'm going to marry her. Jessica, your childhood friend? You said she was just a friend, and now she's pregnant. You were having an affair. Don't call it an affair. It makes me sound like a scumbag. It can't be helped, right? Jessica can actually get pregnant, and she's beautiful. There's no reason for me to choose you over her. I was stunned by John's brazen attitude. He seemed completely unrepentant. I was so shocked that I couldn't find the words to respond. Seeing my silence, John scoffed. Even my mom kept nagging me to divorce you. She always liked Jessica more. She's beautiful, kind, and can have kids. My mom will be happy with this. It became clear that my mother-in-law and John had always preferred Jessica. The sadness was overwhelming, and tears began to flow. Well, I've packed my things and I need to leave for the sake of the child that's about to be born, John said, and then he walked out of the house. I didn't have the energy to stop him. A few days later, I received divorce papers with a note attached, written by a woman. Please divorce my husband quickly. The contradictory message made question marks pop up in my head. I wanted to shout, "You're the one who stole my husband." Seeing those words, I finally realized the situation clearly. Why was I the one being blamed? I couldn't just passively accept the divorce. With that thought, I gathered the evidence from the private investigator and filed for divorce mediation. A few days after filing, I received a call from an unknown number. Curious about who it might be, I answered and heard a woman's voice screaming, "What do you think you're doing? Why are you suing us?" It was Jessica, the affair partner. "Well, it's obvious, isn't it? I know all about your infidelity. It's only natural for me to ask for alimony," I replied calmly. "You have a baby in your belly. You're really going to demand money at a time when we'll need it most. Who's the real monster here?" she retorted, her voice high-pitched and shrill, making my ears ring. "You sleep with a married man and have the nerve to say that to me. It's your fault for being infertile, you terrible woman," I shot back, my voice steady despite her screams. "Anyway, I intend to settle this divorce, including alimony, in court. Let's discuss this further in the proper setting." With that, I hung up the phone. Thanks to the evidence I had gathered, the mediation recognized John and Jessica's relationship as adultery. John and Jessica, unhappy with this, tried to blame my infertility, but it was dismissed as unreasonable since no test results had confirmed me as the cause within just a year of marriage. I received $4,000 in alimony from John and $20,000 from Jessica, both paid in one lump sum. I didn't want a prolonged, messy payment schedule or any lingering connection to them. This is how our divorce was finalized. However, my suffering didn't end there. Since John, Jessica, and I all attended the same university, the affair scandal quickly became the talk of the town. According to a close friend, the rumor was that I had hidden my infertility to trick John into marriage. Some people even sympathized with John and Jessica. How awful! Jessica and I worked at the same company, and she spread baseless rumors there too. Everyone sided with her because she was beautiful and the boss's daughter. She tearfully played the victim, claiming, "Emily is such a terrible person, taking money from us for alimony when we're about to have a child," even though she hid her infertility. At first, I tried to ignore it, but Jessica's status as the boss's daughter meant she received preferential treatment. My boss would scold me, saying, "Don't be mean to Jessica," and despite my hard work, I was gradually excluded from major projects. Eventually, I felt mentally cornered and decided to resign. While searching for a new job, I received a headhunting offer from another company. They said, "We need someone as diligent and talented as you." At my new job, I was amazed at how freely I could work. My new boss paid close attention to each employee, and there was no favoritism or nepotism like at my previous company. I found myself drawn to this wonderful boss. That's how I met my current husband, Mike. When I was at my lowest after the terrible split from my ex-husband, he kindly supported me. After several dinners together, we started to talk not just about work but about our personal lives as well, and our relationship developed. Things progressed well between us, and thankfully, Mike proposed to me. However, having been rejected by my ex-husband for my infertility, I carried many fears about marriage and confided in Mike that I might be infertile. Looking at me earnestly, Mike said, "Of course, I'd be happy if we could have a child together in the future, but the most important thing is that I love you, Emily. You're important to me, so even if we can't have children, I will always be by your side." He hugged me gently. I was so happy that I knew I wanted to spend my life with this man and decided to marry Mike. Soon after our marriage, we had our first child, Kyle, followed by our daughter, Lily. Perhaps the issue with my ex-husband was just a matter of timing or compatibility. Raising children is hard, but we're living happily. Then, one day, I attended a friend's wedding. During the ceremony, as it was time for greetings and mingling, I stepped out to use the bathroom and unexpectedly ran into my ex-husband, John, whom I hadn't seen in 15 years. Why is he here? I panicked for a moment, my mind going blank, but then I remembered that the bride and groom were college friends. It made sense for John to be there. I tried to ignore him and walk past, but he called out loudly, "Hey." So he noticed me. "What, you've put on weight, haven't you? It's been so long since I've seen you." John, seemingly drunk, spoke loudly and spat as he talked. "You haven't changed a bit," I thought to myself, still as unpleasant as ever. Then John called his family over. There was Jessica and their son. Seeing my face, Jessica smirked and said, "Oh, it's been a while. Have you gained weight? Stress eating, maybe? Must be tough. I bet you're still an infertile woman with no one to take you, right?" I was dumbfounded by their rude behavior and struggled to find words to respond. I noticed their son, hanging his head and blushing with embarrassment. He had very handsome features. I forgot to introduce him. This is my son. As you can see, he's cute like Jessica, right? Jessica proudly bragged about their son. "He's handsome, smart, a real genius. Sorry to say, it seems like we're the only happy ones here." They praised their son and looked down at me with smug smiles. However, their son seemed unhappy with his parents' behavior, visibly displeased with their belittling of someone else. He must be a very kind boy, I thought, but I had no time to deal with them. As I turned to leave, John grabbed my arm tightly, stalking me. "So you caused our divorce because of your infertility, and then you have the nerve to extort money from us?" John was still holding a grudge about something that happened 15 years ago. If anyone should hold a grudge, it's me. Then Jessica also turned to me and said, "Yeah, you're a single infertile woman. Why would you need money? Families with children like us need it more, don't you think? Pay us back double the amount you took from us." At that moment, I was dumbstruck by such selfish remarks, speechless until John and Jessica's son spoke up. "Single means unmarried, right? But she's wearing a wedding ring on her left hand," pointed out by their son. John and Jessica stared intently at the ring on my left ring finger. "What, you're married?" John and Jessica's loud exclamations drew stares from the surrounding people. I was mortified. As I pondered what to do, I caught sight of a familiar face. "You shouldn't be so loud at a celebration like this. It's disturbing others. Maybe you should be more considerate." "Mom, Who are these scary-looking people? Mom, you're late coming back. Mom, you have kids? Yes, I do. Let me introduce them. This is my son, Kyle, and my daughter, Lily. John seemed speechless, shocked that his ex-wife, whom he thought was infertile, had 2 children. Jessica was staring intently at my son. After a moment, she muttered in a strange voice, "That uniform." She seemed fixated on my son's attire. "Ah, he came straight from school with his dad." "It's not about that. That's the uniform of that famous private middle school." "Huh? Oh yes, Kyle's attending the prestigious private middle school." Yes, Kyle excelled in his studies and was attending a well-known local private school. "It can't be. A child of yours at that school. And my daughter too. She plans to take the exam for the same school next year." "That's right. And you know what? Kyle is amazing. He won a violin competition." "Violin? I thought I recognized this boy. Wasn't he on TV recently?" "Ah, you saw that. Yes, he's been getting a lot of media attention lately. Today, he's coming back from violin practice." "Impossible. That can't be." John and Jessica were left gaping, frozen in shock. "You were supposed to be infertile. How could you have such?" I calmly addressed John's confusion. "I'm glad to see you two seem happy. As you can see, I'm filled with happiness too. Let's not involve each other anymore. We have nothing to do with each other now." As I was about to leave with my children, my husband Mike appeared. "Hey, what's going on here? The main event is about to start again." Seeing my husband, John's face turned pale. "President Smith." Jessica, too, upon seeing my husband, turned white and trembled. "Your husband is Smith, the young CEO of ABC Corporation who got the job last year, right?" "Actually, my husband Mike works as the CEO of the parent company of Jessica's father's company. He was job hunting when the parent company approached him for a position, and that's how he switched jobs. I met Mike there, a man who was already popular and skilled. Last year, he was recommended by the then CEO and took over the role." "Yeah, it's Smith. But what's with this atmosphere? What happened?" Sensing the uneasy tension, my husband Mike looked puzzled. That's when Kyle spoke up. "These people were saying mean things about our mom, calling her infertile and fat, so Lily and I came to help her." They heard it. Kyle and Lily had overheard my ex-husband and his wife making rude comments about me. That's why Kyle had spoken up like that. "You guys are those." The word infertile seemed to click something in Mike's mind, and his expression turned grim. I had heard rumors, but I never imagined they were this insensitive. Then John suddenly started to defend himself to Mike. "No, I mean Mr. Smith, I would never say anything bad about your wife, right, Jessica? Why are you groveling so much? She's just his wife, right? I was the one who got yelled at by my father and suffered a lot because you made me pay her money for our affair. I'll never forgive you now." "Jessica, what are you saying? If he dislikes us, our subcontracting company is finished. Think about that." Realizing it was bad to be disliked by the CEO of their parent company, John started to flatter Mike, but Jessica, not satisfied, started arguing with him. What a ridiculous scene. Then John and Jessica's son, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. "Stop it. Listening to you both is terrible. You're saying awful things about her, calling her fat and infertile, and now demanding money back. I'm ashamed. And what about this affair? Am I a child born out of an affair? Am I unwanted?" His voice cracked with tears. John and Jessica started to fumble for words. "Well, that's not." As I realized the guests were staring at us, Jessica, noticing their gazes, blushed and looked down. Although I still can't forgive John and Jessica, their son seems to be a just and kind boy. He's innocent in all this. Thinking this, I was about to comfort their son when my husband Mike spoke first. "Thank you. You stood up for my wife. You really are a kind boy," he said, gently patting the boy's head. I followed with a smile. "But maybe I am a bit overweight." "That's not true." "Well, actually, I'm pregnant." "My belly is getting bigger," I said, stroking my belly. "I'm currently pregnant with our 3rd child and on maternity leave." Seeing the boy with tears in his eyes, I added, "Your mom took great care of you in her belly, just like this. You're not unwanted. Your parents love you and are proud of you, right?" I looked at John and Jessica. The boy then asked them, "Really? In a hurry?" They both nodded vigorously and said, Yeah, you're our pride and joy. Absolutely. You mean everything to us." At this, the boy immediately broke into a wide smile. Seeing their son smile, I also felt a sense of relief. Let's just remember that today is a day for celebration. Let's all head back to our seats. Saying this, each family returned to their respective seats, and so the turbulent scene came to a close. As the wedding ended and we were heading to the station, Jessica and John approached, holding hands with their son. Kyle and Lily had been intimidating the two who had insulted me, but Mike calmed them down with a smile. We're sorry. We're really sorry. It's too late, but for everything before and for today, we're truly sorry. And thanks for earlier for our son. It was the first apology I had heard from them in over 15 years. Perhaps even people as terrible as them had changed a little after having a child. I laughed. Really, it's too late now. Well then, with just that, I turned and started walking away. Kyle offered to carry my bags. Lily said, "Here," and draped a jacket over my shoulders. Even as children, they were considerate of my pregnancy. "All right, how about we make Dad's favorite hamburgers for dinner tonight?" Kyle and Lily's favorite. Yay, yay, thank you. With a vow to protect the smiles of my beloved family, I was moving away from the pains of the past.